prescription for vocal fold hemorrhage, right? But as we work through, for instance, all these positions, you can find that I think they are retracted mostly. So when I am instead of doing a mouthy production, when I'm going to pharyngeal production instead, if I do a closed mouth hum, which I like very much, because there's no place else for the sound to go except up into the pharynx, right? And when the mouth is closed, you can bring the tone through your nose backwards, right? And it helps stabilize. It helps shows you where it is. Try that. I worked last week with quite an accomplished singer, and I asked him to do that, and I go, oh. And I said, well, could you reduce it? And he said, oh, I can do it lots louder than that. But of course you can. But in resonance, we move from undeveloped to developed. And that's a good thing to do when you're shaping a phrase. Once more, because if you are too developed, for the further development, you're going to have to try to couch a contraction upon a contraction, which is going to be difficult. But if you do it through your nose backwards, can you feel the velum there engaging a bit? Right? And if you were dragging the velum back, moving it, there is movement involved. Often when we're singing a text mouthy, it goes into a holding pattern, and it's not movement. But if we go from this, I can feel that velar action right on the phonation. Can you? Jacob, do you want to demonstrate?
Let's try.
That's beautiful, of course. Since we're just progressing from lesser stretch to fuller stretch, do it all dark. So like this. So today's big exercise is the lateral. So once we found the pharyngeal hum and the phonation, let's go a little lateral. Immediately I feel the overtones filling my mouth, which you want to feel, because then we're singing on overtones. Release of the overtones, right? It's not like you're trying to suddenly hold it on pitch or something. Jordan, would you try, please? Now we're going to add the Y buzz here Y buzz is this wonderful position of a bit of contracted tongue. It's the part of the Y before we say the vowel, but I like to say ye because you can really feel it then, right? If I'm ye, yes, if I'm saying yes, the tip of my tongue is on my lower teeth there. Yes, which means the tongue dorsum must be pretty high there. Right. I do feel the velum engaging. Try. Just go yee and see if you can do it. Jordan? Go ahead. Maintain the darkness. Now do the Y buzz and feel a little lateral. Suddenly remember the lips. If you spread your lips, it's going to brighten the sound up. Not that we necessarily want that. It just happened. As you probably know, a spread lip position shortens the vocal tract, which favors the upper amplitudes. A pursed lips, which I don't do. I've seen some singers do it. It darkens the formants. I prefer the pillars of the fauces. So instead of lowering the larynx, which I don't like, because if you lower the larynx, it is the muscles that lower are called the sternothyroid muscles. Sterno. Well, what's that? The sterno. It goes right on your body and hooks. And if you don't know how to deal with it, it can cause constriction. And then it can thicken. It will thicken the fold mass, and then your freedom is inhibited. But so if I'm going, I've stayed dialed. Oh, when you do pillars, I mean when you do Y buzz, do pillars. Pillars of the fauces is that arch-like setup at the back of our throat that the uvula hangs in, the little turkey gobbler thing. That contracts the pillars of the fauces. It's a double set. It's made up of the palatoglossus, which lowers the velum, in fact, and raises the tongue dorsum, and the palatopharyngeus, which some people think might be a belting position. That's up to conjecture. But anyway, if I am contracting the pillars of the fauces, I am getting a British accent. In the old days, they would school people to say the beginning of a yawn. Well, of course, since I overdid everything, I would have to go, oh, the complete yawn, right? The beginning, hello. But this, the pillars of the fauces is great. So that, or the pillars of the fauces is an extension of the upper vocal tract, which darkens the formants for a darker sound, every bit as good as the lower in the larynx, but which doesn't hook you from the body attachment. So if we go Y buzz, pillars of the fauces, I just added my British accent to the Y buzz, right? Try that, Jordan. So something happened, the tone just like, whoa, became really special. Was that when you put the pillars contraction in? Of course. Try it again. My head is a heavenly sound. When you do the Y buzz, feel it through your nose backwards, like you do the Velen onset, because it's really the Velen there. As we get to the sky dome, I'm wondering how close the pillars contraction is to the sky dome. But
I had a little interruption, sorry.
Can you do the Y buzz in the U vowel? Beautiful. Camera, would you like to try? So, Y buzz. Let's go Y buzz to Y buzz. Can you get a little higher, kind of?
A little bit higher.
In the note. It almost feels like mid-velum. Yeah. That's in the turnover spot.
Okay.
So if I'm going from, say, squashed or undeveloped to the turnover, I can just go to a Y buzz. Try that. It's a beautiful sound. In doing all of these, I heard a little mouthy sound coming in. One becomes hyper aware of the difference, especially when we work together and you have your teacher on you all the time. And that's mouthy. It is the first thing to do, right? All you jazz and pop singers. And I've had so many students, we work on this resonance shaping all the time, and then as soon as the music comes, oh, let's just do it. But it is absolutely a matter of experience, I would say. Since we're doing the turnover, so let's start from some kind of lesser developed position. We could even start from a pharyngeal hum, right? But not too developed. Or if I'm doing squash, the resonance changes location. I may be doing a Y buzz on the lower pharyngeal wall, but there's an extreme change up there. Go ahead, Cameron. Yeah, fantastic. This is, I would say, it's the best for achieving a darker sound. Now, there are many, many songs you want to, but not only that, this is the route to bridging that famous passaggio. In order to go to those high notes, do the turnover. So 1 to 5, that's a turnover, right? So retain the turnover resonance and just phonate down. It was beautiful. It was a little bit mouthy because it takes practice to get the feeling. No, it's the feeling of switching to overtones. And so if I'm going, what is that? That is overtone production. And this is the darker one. Remember, we can go to the brighter one too. Now go sideways and fill your mouth full of overtones.
I hardly ever sing it over to.
That is a beautiful note, though. I know you have a wonderful voice.
Thank you.
Bravo. And I say it's a beautiful sound. You see how kind of floated dark I can get. This will mute to your own ear. And if you are not used to it, it can be destabilizing. Believe me, I've shown this to some people and they freak out because, oh, I can't hear that. You know, you expect me to sing that? But the audience can hear it. The reason you can't hear it so well is that it contracts the eustachian tubes inside, which block our inner ears. That's why. The audience can hear it fine. And so it's one of those positions where one has to go by feeling rather than by acoustic. Try once more. My own ear. Go ahead. And so this actually is what they were looking for when they were looking for head tone. Or when they were calling singing in the mask. Singing in the mask is what Tommy would do. Well, that's my mask, isn't it? This is it. Because the turnover puts the sound up there. That's how you hear it, at least. And it could mute to your ear. There's a famous story I always tell about my teacher with Delmonico, and he was with Delmonico through many, many, many different performances. And like every artist, Delmonico was nervous and unsure. You know, an artist is never satisfied. You can do a magnificent performance with one little thing and you screw up and then, oh, I screwed that performance. No. And so Delmonico, I think, was in the duet from Carmen, which is beastly difficult for any tenor, especially a dramatic tenor. And Delmonico came running out. How was it? How was it? How was it? And Peter said, it was fantastic. And Delmonico, oh, I thought it was pretty good because my voice sounded way over there rather than ringing in his head. And so this darker position is fantastic. I got so far with it that I did the entire role of Canio in Pagliacci, one of the most difficult, brilliant, dramatic tenor roles ever. And I did the whole role in this dark thing, and I never dreamed I could do it, but it was quite effective. Now that we're talking about the lateral, so Christian, you want to try this? It's just the E turnover. That's a beautiful sound. Absolutely. That's a really beautiful sound. Bravo. Can you go to speaking in the sustain? This is another big idea from Delmonico, which is brilliant. Speaking in the sustain is really parlato, or speaking on the overtones. You see, I've stayed in that position of the dark, right? Beautiful. Can you let a little more overtones fill your mouth? It's kind of a odd thing to think of. I know that I contract certain areas in there somehow to increase the tone a bit. Oh, I draw the vowels from within, as if I'm pulling the vowels to the back of the throat. Yeah. Bravo. Absolutely. And there are different positions of that. So now the lateral. When I first got wind of my teacher, I heard his soprano singing a very, very difficult aria called La Mamma Morta from Andrea Chenier, which has a lot of parlato for the soprano, dramatic parlato. It's the story of a tale of two cities, like Charles Dickens. They're in the French Revolution, and they have been condemned to die by the guillotine. And so she is just starting to get wind of this revolution stuff, and so she's singing about her dead mama and how the house was set on fire, and it's dramatic. So she has to use this parlato in the lower soprano range, which is tough for a soprano, especially when they're always up there, right? And everybody tells them, oh, you mustn't come into any kind of chest voice, as they call it. Well, baloney. But this lateral is a fantastic help. You who have taken Estel voice, you know thin, right? I could call this thin. I prefer to call it elastic. And I believe every voice needs it. And I think I believe every style of resonance needs it. But certainly this lateral, I call it like a floated position or a elastic position. Very level, right? Try that. Try that, Diego. What can I say? Can you do it without ring or without twang? That is fantastic, and that is a beautiful sound. And of course, you can do it with the different editions, with the addition of ring or anything. The fascinating thing about this, you don't have to change positions once you've got it. So if I am Ni ne na no, 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 no. Same position, all the way up and down. It's like, holy cow. In Montana, we used to say that where I grew up on the ranch there.
G4, perfect. Please preach.
Grazie tanto. Muchas gracias. Miss Jordan, let's try a little bit of Weiber's Willem and then go lateral. Say
that again. Y buzz, velum, lateral.
And maybe restrain the ring. I know you have a gorgeous ring. And in fact, now I have to say there are different layers of lateral. And the more you go in, the more stable it's going to be until you get to the biggie, the lateral inside stretch, which we will do when we get there. But you know that I adore this dark sound that you can make, because most sopranos aren't doing that I hear these days. Everybody who's trained, that's how they're trained. Well, if you are going to have these layers of colors that resonance puts in, then it's a balancing act. Of course, you can sing that sometimes, but in your most gorgeous song to the moon, that is still lateral. Now I'm going to try to drop the lateral inside a little deeper. So we were going, which is great for a brighter, lighter sound. But if I go, it's still lateral. I just added more stuff, right? Wow. You want to try that, Jordan? Now let's go to the thinnest Y buzz. Let's do just thin and drag the velum back a little bit. You hear my velum engage? Now let the tone mute, do the same thing, but allow the tone to mute your ears. Let's see what happens. I can hear that 5 blocks away. See if you can mute it. That beautiful fluted quality. There is an attachment to the pharyngeal wall one can find that keeps the resonance circulating. I think the resonance has to move. Try that. Try doing that in a speech position. It is virtually impossible. Cameron, let's try the camera. I'm sorry, I always want to say Cameron because I had a good friend who was Cameron, but camera. I think of candid camera. I'm sure you've heard that.
I get
before.
that a lot. Yeah, I get that a lot.
I beg your apology.
No, it's okay.
It really is. Can you do the thinnest thin? But you are putting in a big core of sound. I guess that's one dimension of a floated sound, that the core is diminished a bit. Try that. That is thin thing. You have a wonderful sound. It's just unbelievable.
Thank you.
You have a great voice.
Thank you.
Did you see when he reduced it to, I don't want to say undeveloped because every sound has its development. When he went to this floated sound, did you see how beautiful that was? Try that again. That type of sound will melt the listener's heart.
Yeah, that's really thin. That's a really thin. I don't even think I sing that thin. I don't even think of my own work.
Well, see, because I know that you've done some Estel work and they go for thin. I'm not sure. I will tell you one of my objections to the approach of Estel is that they go through all these anatomical coordinations, but they don't mostly talk about the resonant equivalent. And so here they're trying to get you to tilt the thyroid. Well, how do I do that? You can do it acoustically, right? Try it once more. Don't think that you cannot go from that to loud. Look. That's the voce. I swelled the diminuendo. So the
why did you say that?
When I'm looking for a voice and then I want to get them to thin out, I have some exercises for that too. One of them is I like this a lot because it instantly takes the weight off, or takes the thick off, right? Tweedle, and then there's this lateral thing going on with the tongue. Tweedle, right? Tweedle-diddly, tweedle-diddly, tweedle-diddly. Can Can you try that?
In a thin fold.
Yeah, yeah. It gives you a thing. Goes.
Okay. If I could do it, it's Tweedle. Tweedle, you're doing Tweedle?
Tweedle.
It's hard. Tweedle Deedle.
My tongue is. Try it again.
It's like a tongue twister.
It's great to work on because it gives you some flexibility of the tongue. Jordan tried.
I'm struggling.
I know, it's a mouthful.
I can't do the double.
But that instantly puts you in thin as opposed to the stronger one. One can do it stronger, of course. What happens if we add lateral to that? It's already in it.
I can't do it like you.
Diego, would you like to try?
This is always hard for me because my tongue's not that.
Oh, don't give me any of that.
Come on, Diego. Come on.
Look, nothing beats a failure like a try, right? And there's this mental thing. Listen, I'm sure you've done music that is challenging. If you start to get into any music out there, it's going to challenge your technique. I don't care how experienced you are. I have been with Joan Sutherland. I've been with Luciano Pavarotti, with Placido Domingo, untold great singers. They are nervous like heck.
Mm-hmm.
Usually until they get out there, right? And then it's done by interior memory, probably. You don't have a lot of time to strategize positions, unless of course it's slower, and then you can do an effect, or if it slows down. I talked to a baritone I think he was a baritone a few weeks ago, and told him that he should do the role of Figaro in Mozart's Marriage of Figaro, right? That was it's just the greatest part. And he said, "Oh no, that's a bass part. I couldn't possibly sing that." And he was basically being offered the role. And I was thinking how one-sided that is. For me, of course, I was a dramatic tenor, and half the time nobody knew what to do with me. And they were putting on things that were too light for my voice anyway. But every role I got, you have to get it into your voice. You get a role, then you figure out how to do it. Because if you go on a stage, you know that you're going to have to do it one way or another, right? So, it immediately thinned out the sound, or made it this gorgeous dark loud. Oh, could you tell?
Mm-hmm.
Because initially you went and then you went. Okay, Christian, you want to try it? Christian?
I see. Yeah.
Is it comfortable there? Beautiful. Like Edith Piaf, right? That's the Piaf French R. You know all these like the lip bubbles. those are fine, but how are you going to phonate on that, right? Whereas actually the tweedledeedles are phonation. Try it once more, Jordan. If you think lateral, are you there? Are you making any sound? Jordan? Turn on your button, maybe.
Yeah, Jordan, you're muted.
Ha 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 ha. I don't know why. I thought it was frozen for a second. Sorry.
I thought you were making the extremely pianissimo sound sometimes we go for.
Well, I'm happy to see everyone else's tongues not keeping up to yours. You're the freak, not us.
Listen, singing is DNA genetic material. It is passed down, inherited through our DNA. And often singers, their parents have sung and their parents have sung. My grandma sang in a beer hall. She was from England and Cockney and she had the thickest accent you could have ever. She was just great, a bundle of fun. And in order to make money, she would go down there and just sing these tunes, roll out the barrel, and these drunks. And she ended up in Missoula, Montana, which at that time was like a mining town. And so the miners who were drunk in the bar, oh, whoop-de-doo, Anyway, since we're there, let's try this.
I can do that one.
Hey, this is a coloratura exercise. A little bit less tone and more breath, or more. If you've taken Estel courses, you know that says aspirate abrupt, right? But can you do it, Taco? That was good. Can you go to the top and then try to do a staccato? That was beautiful. Go on. It starts to just grow gorgeous. Let the canary out. What happens if you bring a little velum through your nose backwards? Do the same thing. See if that brings a little turnover or something in there. I don't know if you can do it, but if one can do it. And that probably helped you with the tessitura, right? Very fascinating. No teacher has all the answers. In a session, though, you have to try everything, and it's a creative, organic thing. But the teacher better have some know-how, right? That was brilliant. Can you do it on lateral? I don't know if you can, or if anyway. Oh. Oh, it really helps. Do you feel immediate? I think you're using more ring than I might be. I'm looking for maybe a dark color. If you're doing Lucia di Lammermoor, you might want to start with a dark dark or move to bright or whatever. Whisper it. That had a different timbre. Beautiful. Okay, Camera, I'm sorry. Try this. Have you ever tried this?
Do you want me to do like same range as Jordan? Like up there, or do you want it down lower?
Yeah, no. Well, no, here.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
A little more
Hard.
a little more
Try to get that coordination.
Yeah. No, I have to reduce mine. I have to reduce the flow a lot. Yeah. There.
Yeah, that feels better.
A little less tone, a little. I don't want to say air because I'm kind of against talking about airflow rather than resonance flow, even though if I'm doing he, is that air? He. When I put my hand in front, I have a little bit of air, but I think more tone than breath. Oh, I have a lot of breath. Put your hand in front of your mouth and feel the breath. A little more breath than tone then.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, bravo. You are so very responsive that it's a joy to hear that just within a few tries you can do it. That's the type of singer I like to work with. Because you know these positions, they're not intuitive. The French would say ce n'est pas évident. It's not evident, it's not a given. It's not a guarantee that one can do it. Even when one tries these positions, it's trial and error. When I talked, I had lunch with Joan Sutherland and talked with Richard Bonning a lot, who I think was a vocal genius. And he time and again said, you can only learn by trial and error. And I would say, but this genius singer, trial and error. Joan Sutherland, trial and error. Oh, and I said, was it trial and error? She said, I just wanted to go out and garden, which she did. And he pushed her because he realized what she had as this international voice of the century, if not of all times. I mean, what she did, the repertoire is just unbelievable. Really, I haven't seen anyone else. And she maintained this standard of never getting screamy or shrill or having technical issues, let's say. Just phenomenal. I wanted, so one of my favorite roles is Dick Johnson in The Girl of the Golden West. And when I saw it being put on, I went for it, even though I probably wasn't quite ready technically, but I wanted to do it so badly. And then I did it, and I saw what a fabulous show it is. It's almost my favorite Puccini, right? And I thought it would be absolutely fantastic for Joan Sutherland to be. It takes place in California during the gold rush, and the lead soprano is Minnie, who has a bar for the gold miners. Not only that, but the gold miners come and they store their gold behind her bar. And every single miner who's there falls in love with Minnie. They all just adore her, including everyone who ever sees her. And the tenor actually is a gold thief in disguise. But I thought this would be the greatest role for Joan because she loved this acting. And I mentioned it to Bonnie, and he said, no, absolutely not. And I was taken aback by how the force he said that. And I said, but he said, no. And he said he knew that they are trying to retain her in the bel canto repertoire for which she was a superstar, as long as possible before moving into the verismo. So from bel canto to verismo. Well, I'm jumping around, but since I made that, she actually ended up doing some verismo roles. So if we're doing the O turnovers, remember I mentioned that if you don't do the turnover, you end up sounding my, which is speech, because that O is not in tune with what's going on in the vocal tract. So that's why we need the turnover, so that the overtones are in tune with these harmonics. So instead of my, we do no. Try just going my, no, Jordan.
My, no.
It's just so beautiful. My, oh.
My,
When she did it, could you hear the registers change? Try it again if you can do it just like you did. Did you hear did you read what Christian wrote? He wrote your sound makes him cry.
That's the one that makes you cry. The O turnover.
And listen, when I tell you responsive students are just so brilliant to have. When bringing Jordan into this resonant shaping, I would literally almost start to cry. I just couldn't. I would just like, I can't believe this stellar sound. Go ahead. What happens if you add a little bit of feeling of the pillars of the fauces, a little bit of this sort of British accent there? My, oh, it works. Did that affect the tone? Absolutely. Did it affect your feeling of comfort, let's say? I know everything is easy for you no matter what you do, but
It made it feel less controlled, more free.
interesting. Can you do it with some degree of lateral? Let me see. My, no. I very much stayed in the turnover.
My, I don't know if I can do. It's hard.
No, it wasn't. Go back to the rounded one.
My,
How about there?
Wait, where?
I would say start with like the pharyngeal hum, or with a squash there. My. Go ahead. That was absolutely gorgeous. I have something you want to do. Oh, I want to bring out the music for the Song to the Moon, and see how you phonate this. That's G flat to G flat.
Just do it however.
Well, you can, do some words.
I'm doing the wrong words. That's okay.
Oh, no, that's okay. Keep going. The tone is beautiful. Don't increase the dynamics. It's the same. What happens for that if you put in just a tiny bit of lateral? The lateral, it just took it there with no effort whatsoever. Oh, I would use the half lateral to stabilize that last note because it keeps you in a tonality. Now that gives you the stability down there. Can you come down to it? It keeps it in tonality. Now just do the ending.
Starting at Mesichko.
Do whatever it is.
I'm going to make up the words.
Gorgeous. Did thinking of the lateral help you?
Yeah.
Try that. Go just my my. That was a B flat. I'll have you know. But let me see here. Oh, now I want to add the sky dome. So if I am going from the E turnover, let's say, to the sky dome is a further extension of the velum. It might even be in the pillars of the fascia's place, but here is the turnover. Now the sky dome, I'm going to let it go, and the sound is going to travel up the back of my pharynx there. It's just the greatest feeling of release. I'm not trying to put it there. I guess I would say I'm releasing it there. Jordan, you want to try? Did you feel a big release? Yeah. Does the lateral help there too? Boy, it sure helps me. Are you feeling some lateral phonation?
To get the diction. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, it frees up the phonation. Now, let's try Mario's vowel. So we've been in the dark paradigm, right? And in the upper part of the vocal tract. Now we're going to the lower part. We were in the sky dome. Now we're in, I don't know what to call it. It's like visiting the sewers of Paris, maybe. I guess not. But it comes right here. Try that. It feels so great. Jordan, can you try that? Diego. Diego. Call this Mario's vowel because he's the one I got it from, and I've never seen anyone else do it. But oh wow, does it make a difference? I may be darker than you, right? But I don't know, maybe not. Remember when we dropped down to the Bernoulli drop? It's kind of in Mario's mouth spot, right? That was a beautiful sound that came up. Camera, would you like to try Mario's Val? Try him. Can you do the Bernoulli drop?
Like that?
Yeah. So you can kind of pop down the scale, right? It's a reverse yodel. Look, if I'm going, that's a reverse yodel. That's a yodel, but this is reverse. And you're right to put your finger right there. That's the sternothyroid notch. If we lean on that, it oddly enough affects the timbre, and it can create a stronger dynamic. I freaked out when I first did this. I thought, am I lowering the larynx? What is this? Because whoever has told you to shape resonance down here, other than lowering the larynx. But this isn't lowering the larynx. This is making a very clear, beautiful sound. I'm just leaning from inside of the sternothyroid notch here. And Mario's Val starts to go to this inside lateral. So his val is there, but it's not his stretched inside lateral position. That is a lateral inside stretch. So if I'm putting this in, I'm going turnover, sky dome, right? And then add Mario's Val. No, wait. Then I've added Mario's Val plus his lateral inside stretch. He gets a ring that no one else does because he's doing this. And guess who else got to do it? So the steps are turnover, sky dome. Let's hear you do just turnover, sky dome. Now so the first turnover was beautiful. The second one is a let go. So it's less controlled. You just, what the hey, let go. That's very controlled, of course. It's letting the sound travel up the pharynx like a column of sound. And it probably gets louder. Not necessarily though, but
oh, sorry.
Turn over first.
Oh crap! Hold on, I'm gonna do it again. Right? I'm scared to be loud.
No, look, I want to say there was a teacher in L.A., Joe Klein, I think his name was. I knew a Russian base that studied with him. Like there's this connection between San Francisco and Los Angeles all the time, and the artists. This Russian baritone told me that that teacher had his students jump off a chair in order to go to a high note. And this going to the Sky Dome feels a bit like I'm jumping off a chair. I just like, it's shooting up there. So this is controlled. It's just shooting up there. Go ahead. It becomes a little, it mutes to one's ear a bit. So I'm retaining the ring until Mario's vows, just as a demonstration thing. Oh, can you do the British accent like this? Could you speak like they do like this?
Maybe, maybe they sort of talk like this, perhaps, right?
When you go to the Sky Dome, you're in the British accent. That was great. Could you feel the tone traveling up your pharynx? Joan Sutherland told me when she sang, she felt like she had columns of air even going out the top of her head. There was an old bel canto teacher, his name was Herbert Cesare, who talked about that. And when I first read it, I didn't know what he was talking about. He went to interview the last singing castrato in Rome to find out the singing techniques. And this castrato, there are actual recordings of him on YouTube that were made though when he was 72 years old. But Herbert Cesare talked about creating columns of sound out of the top of your head. If I go to the Sky Dome, I can do all kinds of singing with I'm estimating that the turnover is allowing me to get there, right? So now let's go to the first turnover, Sky Dome, and then add Mario's vow. Can you try that? Well, that was great. Did you see how that automatically tuned up that sound?
Yeah.
You went extreme twangy bright, right? Let's see if Christian can do this.
That's a different form of twang, I think. That's like, I'm so used to being like for upper pharyngeal constrictors than like lower, like than the lower level. It's so different for me. It's just so different.
Well, of course, that's my middle name. Christian? Turn over. That's a beautiful sound. Save the twang until twang. I don't like the word twang. I like ring, I guess. Twang sounds a little vulgar to me. And maybe sometimes in belting it's okay to sound vulgar, but I think Miss Aretha Franklin was a lady. I do not think that she was vulgar in a million years, right? What do you think, Kamara?
I lost.
I like the dissenting opinion on twang. I like that. I'd agree. She definitely could get pretty. I mean, she had some pretty, distinctive notes with twang when she wanted to be. She was a gospel singer, yeah.
Yeah, absolute. but Vulgar, I don't know. She got down and boogied, right? But but I don't know. Anyway, so I don't know. It's neither here nor there. I like the idea of twang. It's just that the word sounds so weird to me. I'm going to get to your high pharyngeal ring in a minute. But I thought I'd bring in Mario's vowel and lateral inside stretch. So Christian, let's see if you can go. Oh, remove the twang.
More twang.
No, less. You're Mr. Twang here. Can you do a British accent?
I'm not understand. Oh, no.
Just copy Diego. That's how he speaks in a
Help,
British.
Diego, help.
Como si fuera el acento, estaba hablando como si fuera el acento británico, viste, que se hace más como más oscuro. El British.
Okay, listo.
Los ingleses, sí.
Because you're bringing in Mario's vowel there, but go first without the ring, right? So if I go, that's where I go. Work with Maestro Diego here, and he will get you to do it, I'm sure. But you see how I make the separate positions. Bravo, you have a beautiful voice. Diego, let's hear what you do. So go. It's a dark turnover. Dark sky dome, and then add Mario's vowel. But excusez-moi, that was the lateral inside stretch, which you didn't. We've been looking for you to do. I didn't expect that. Bravo.
Thank you.
You absolutely went there. I knew you had that in your voice. I knew. Because Tommy knows. That was brilliant.
Going through all that we've been going through all this class. It kind of got me there. That's why I was telling at the beginning that it's this way of working is so important because it gets you there without having to think about it at the same moment as you're singing.
Well, and then it gives you exercises to plot out your roles or your song, right? It's called getting it into your voice. I heard that forever, but like, what are they talking about? Just rehearsal? No, it's finding out how the voice works and how you put those sounds in it. I'm really surprised you did that.
Yeah, me too.
There used to be a Cajun chef on KQED. He was from Louisiana. I forget his name. Well, when something was good, he'd taste it and he'd go, woo-wee, woo-wee. Now, save the lateral inside stretch after you've done Mario's vowel, right? So that's the first turnover. That's the sky dome. Mario's vowel. Remember the exercise? And that's the killer. That's going to drive the audience crazy. When you can, what Del Monaco did. And he saved that, of course, until into the climax a bit, and then boom, he nailed it home. It's sort of the joy of bringing out a belting note, but I don't see a belting note being delayed much. Do you, in the way that they taught it? Did you see delay in their belt? You know who I mean?
No, not me. No. You mean when teaching belting?
No, yeah, I mean, well, you know who I mean. So go to Mario's Val first, and then go sideways. Turn over. I'm not going to complain because you went immediately to the inside stretch rather than Mario. Mario's Val. That's the lateral inside stretch. I brought this up with Carrie Obert, who had never heard of it before, and she said it must be the piriform sinuses contracting in the larynx. And well, okay. I don't want to know that. I want to know how to apply it to the music, right?